like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world.
50 years ago, Cat Stevens was the ultimate rock star. His songs were, and still are today, beautiful melodies. He sold 60 million albums, then the music stopped. Why? Well, my next guest is bringing to the stage the music and storytelling of Cat Stevens with a show titled Peace Train. My guest is Darren Coggan. He's on the line right now. Darren, nice to have you with us today on the program.
Good afternoon, Leigh. Great to chat with you, mate. Thank you.
What a fantastic artist he was, and still is today. A great singer, Cat Stevens. Some beautiful, beautiful music.
Yeah, most definitely. I think as you led to there, those songs, and they are very timeless. And some of them, written 50 years ago. It's his 50th anniversary this year of his debut album, Matthew and Son. So for an artist, I guess, to have that kind of longevity and to still have his songs be so relevant, I think, in our world today. Those great messages of peace and tolerance and understanding that are such a big part of his work. Those sorts of messages are just as relevant in our world today as,
if not more so.
More so, you're absolutely right. I think, and I think that's why his music has stood the test of time, and this show that Peace Train that we're bringing there to the Drum Theatre has been so successful is because I think people are still hungry for those great songs and his inspiring story.
Like I said in the intro, it is real music. You've got the lovely melodies there. You can understand the words, and there is a message in his words too. Most
definitely. All of his songs ask questions. There's lots of questions that he was asking of himself at the time, and I think the world was asking. In the late 60s there, when he was a big hit, the 60s were passing and left in the wake was a darker, I guess, disillusioned world of the 70s, a world that was also searching for answers. And I think Cat Stevens' search, his own search, was the search of the everyday person. And so I think that's, why his music, as I said, has stood the test of time and still so very relevant in our world today.
Darren, tell me how you come to put the show together, because you've done Grease, Happy Days, I think, the musical, The Wild One and so on. You've even appeared in All Saints, I believe.
Yes.
So this is quite different for you. How'd you get this up?
Yeah, look, the genesis for this show was from people telling me that I sounded like Cat Stevens, to be honest with you. It was right. I've been performing in various musicals and within my career as a country music singer for the last 20 years, and I would often include a Cat Stevens song amongst my own material that I would perform around Australia, and it was always that song, the Cat Stevens song, that I chose to perform, that people would comment on the most. They would sort of come up and say, well, we really enjoy your new album that you're presenting here, but my goodness, you sound like Cat Stevens. And this happens so often, and out of curiosity, I just started, researching him as a person, and I guess the deeper I dug, the more fascinated I became with his journey of self-discovery. I just found his story completely compelling and thought, wow, what an amazing tale, and that obviously incorporated with one of the most prolific catalogues of music of our time, I just thought would make a wonderful show, and so we started putting it together, and we try to trace that same journey of self-discovery that he went on from a very early age, through some, the highs and lows of his career, through some near-death experiences that sparked quite an intense spiritual search within him. And we try to answer that question as to why did he, at the height of his career, abandon the music industry? Why did he walk away from it? What led him to that point?
Was it religion that did that?
Well, it was, it was a combination of things. It was pretty much, he got himself into such a dark place in his personal life. He reached the highest of highs within his career. He reached the highest point that he possibly could, and had all of the trappings of fame that any celebrity or pop star could ever want to have. He had credibility. He'd sold millions and millions of albums. He had all the materialistic things that you could ever dream of having, I guess. And he reached that point and thought, wow, is this it? Is this what life is all about? For whatever reason, that didn't fulfill him as a person. Artistically, he was fulfilled, but I think spiritually, he was left feeling very empty. And he was in such a bad state. He really took part in all of, I guess, the sex, drugs, rock and roll of the industry. He was a big, took part in all of that, and I think he was in a really bad place personally. And the only way I think he could see his way out of that was to completely remove him from all of those distractions. And he did. He literally found his faith and walked away from it all for nearly 40 years. So it's quite an inspiring story. I mean, the underlying theme of our Peace Train show is that we all have that ability to make changes in our lives, should we not be content with who we are or where we are. And I think Cat Stevens is a really great example of that. So we tell that story, and we obviously celebrate his great musical legacy. There's 25 incredible songs in this show. Morning Has Broken, I heard you playing there. Your Peace Train, obviously, Father and Son, Moonshadow, Wild World. It's just an incredible list of songs, and incredibly prolific songwriter that he was.
Yes, he was a prolific songwriter, a great artist, and well, he's not a sad loss to us. He's still around, and he has come back to do some performing now. But is he writing again? Is he going to compose?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, he's released a couple of albums over the last 5 or 6 years that are great records. They haven't reached the sort of commercial heights that his work as Cat Stevens did. But his work now, Yusuf is his name these days, and. But they're great records, and they're not too far removed, really, from where he left off. Still, that beautiful, gentle voice and those lovely melodies, and again those great messages.
Darren, when your friends were saying to you that your voice is very much like Cat Stevens, had you ever been exposed prior to that to his music? Did you know of him?
Oh yeah, look, I grew up on the music. I mean, that whole genre, really. I mean, the whole singer-songwriter genre of music is what I've always been sort of attracted to and appealed to me. Artists like James Taylor, John Denver, Simon and Garfunkel, obviously Cat Stevens, Neil Young, all of those, that type of Beatles, of course. We're all on high rotation at our place as a kid growing up. Mum and Dad were playing those albums all the time. And so I guess it kind of seeped into my bones, but Cat Stevens particularly, I remember learning Moonshadow at the age of about 10 on the guitar. And I always found that, whenever I was called to drag out the guitar at family gatherings or birthday parties, things like that, where I was on show, every time I played a Cat Stevens song, it always got a great response. And it was always something that people already were familiar with.
That's right.
And I guess that stayed with me all of that time, it's music that I've grown up with, obviously, and for whatever reason, we have a very similar timbre in our voices, and it's never anything I was consciously trying to channel or emulate, but it's a privilege, I tell you, to be able to get up on stage and sing these songs and perform his music and tell his story. I find it a great responsibility. So I'm really enjoying it.
We'll see you play guitar too, because you are the holder of 2 Golden Guitar Awards, aren't you, at the Country Music Awards?
Yeah. I've won a couple of Golden Guitar Awards up at the Country Music, Australian Country Music Festival at Tamworth there. And they're nice awards to receive over the years. They've been lovely. So the show is what we try to do with this Peace Train show is accurately as possible recreate what it might have been like to hear Cat Stevens in the 70s, at the height of his career.
It's going to be a lovely show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and our first time there to the Drum Theatre there in Dandenong. So we're really looking forward to being there. It's going to be great.
Darren, it's a great space. You're there on Friday the 9th of June, so it's only about 6 weeks away from now. And it is time to head down and book there. And you can book online too at thedrumtheatre.com.au, so we can do that as well. Now, a bit of a plug for yourself. You're a presenter on the Sydney Weekender. What's on the show this week?
That's a very good question.
It's in the can. You don't know what it was.
You know what? That's the absolute truth of it. We film each week with the show, and then the stories kind of get filed according to what's appropriate for each season and things like that. So I know there's one coming up. I did with my son. We went to this. It was called Urban Rec, and it was like a fitness program for people that are not overly competitive. It was just a more fun, social sort of fitness program. So we we shot that one with my son. We came along. We had a lot of fun with that. I know that one's coming up very, very
so
soon.
So that's on 7 or 9? Which channel?
It's on Channel 7, yeah.
Channel 7, yeah.
Seven Network with Sydney Weekender. I think there's a Victorian Melbourne Weekender, I think, or Victorian Weekender.
There is a Melbourne one, yeah. Well, we can go online and watch that in Sydney online, so we can go and have a look at you doing this, and perhaps you'll be at the gym or somewhere.
You never know. You never know where they send me. I've done all sorts of crazy things on that show, but that's part of.
But it's a lot of fun, Darren, isn't it?
Oh, it is a lot of fun. You know, I get to try out a lot of things I probably never would have dreamt of doing.
Good on you.
So it's quite a thrill, but lots of fun.
Darren, looking forward to having you down this part of the woods. So you'll be down here again on the 9th of June, a Friday night, 7:30 at the Drum Theatre. Take care, pal. Thanks for your time today, mate.
Thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing everyone there at the Drum. It's
Take
going to be
care.
fun.
Okay, bye-bye to you.
Bye-bye.